I spent 3 years saving for a house I can't even call mine. And today, I had to knock. When we pulled into the cul-de-sac, I remember thinking, this is it, the beginning of our life, a fresh start, clean walls, quiet neighbors, the smell of new paint still hanging in the air. He smiled at me the way he always did when he wanted to skip accountability. Gentle, patient, disarming. You deserve this, Sorrel, he said, brushing hair from my face. You made this happen. And he was right. I made it happen. Every down payment, every closing fee, every stick of furniture, I covered it. I never saw the paperwork because Ethan said, trust me, with your visa status, it's cleaner if it's in my name. We'll fix it later. We, always we. That first night, I walked barefoot across the hardwood floors I picked out. Touching the marble counters, I argued with the contractor about. I was exhausted but happy. I finally felt like I'd arrived somewhere safe, until he said the words that cracked the whole foundation. Athena and Leon are moving in tomorrow. I blinked. What? He was already unboxing plates, just temporarily, until her apartment lease ends. And you know Leon needs space. He's almost 13. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. I heard myself whisper, you said she was your ex-wife. She is. We're separated. The divorce paperwork takes time, and it's complicated with Leon in the mix. But we're not together. I didn't even know how to respond. I stared at the kitchen sink, my sink, and tried to process how the man I just moved in with was bringing his wife and his kid into our home. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there, eyes open, listening to the new house breathe. Every creak in the walls sounded like a warning. The next morning, Athena walked in like she'd lived there for years. She didn't knock. She didn't pause. She just strolled in with a duffel bag slung over one shoulder, Leon trailing behind her in oversized headphones, chewing gum like he owned the place. I forgot how good the morning light hits the stairs here, she said, then turned to me, no smile. Oh, you must be surreal. She said my name like it was the name of someone temporary. Ethan came down in sweats, kissed Leon's head like this was just a normal Sunday morning. Welcome home, bud. I stood there, still holding the coffee I made for Ethan. No one asked if I'd had breakfast. Athena walked right to the kitchen, opened the cabinets. Glad to see you kept the mugs. Kept the mugs? She reached for one like muscle memory, like this was her home. And I was the plus one. My fingers tightened around the ceramic cup. I didn't say a word. Because what do you say to someone who walks into your house and acts like you're the guest? That night, I noticed something. The room Leon picked. It wasn't just any room. It was the one I'd painted soft gray. The one I envisioned for the baby I hadn't told Ethan I wanted yet. The one with the window that faced the big oak tree. Ethan didn't ask. Athena just said, Leon's always loved that room. And just like that, it wasn't mine anymore. If you've ever stood in a house you paid for and felt like a stranger, I see you. You're not crazy. You're not dramatic. You're just waking up. Drop a heart if this feels like something you'd never admit out loud. She knew where everything was. I still didn't know which switch turned off the porch light. The second morning, Athena rearranged the silverware drawer. Not in a rude way, not yelling, not asking. She just did it, like someone fixing a mistake. She even muttered, he always likes the spoons on the left. And I just stood there, holding a sponge, like the stranger who forgot how to load the dishwasher in her own damn house. Leon had already claimed the den. His gaming setup took over the coffee table. Cables, LED lights, monitors. It all appeared overnight, like I'd walked into a dorm room I didn't approve. Ethan kept saying, it's temporary, just until they get settled. But no one who's settling in takes over this fast. Athena walked barefoot through the hallway, commenting on things I didn't even notice. Glad the floors still creak near the bathroom. That always kept Leon from sneaking out. She laughed. I laughed too, quietly. Because what else do you do when the joke's on you? By the end of the week, it wasn't just a visit. They had moved in. Boxes with her handwriting stacked near the laundry room. A woven basket labeled Leon's school papers sat on the entryway bench, right where my work tote used to be. Even the guest bathroom smelled different. Lavender soap, her scent. It was like she'd pressed resume on a life she'd paused. And I was the glitch in the program. One night, I came home from a late client call, and Athena was in the kitchen baking banana bread. My apron, my mixing bowls, my playlist still running on the speaker. Ethan was helping her clean up, laughing with her, leaning in just enough to make my stomach twist. I walked in. No one flinched. Athena said, "Oh, hey. I wasn't sure what time you'd be back. We saved you a slice." I nodded, sat down, took a bite I couldn't taste. Ethan smiled. "She always made the best banana bread." I wanted to scream. I wanted to break the damn loaf in half. But I smiled, swallowed, told them it was good. Because if I cracked, even a little, they'd call me dramatic, emotional, unstable. 2 nights later, it happened. I opened the hallway closet to grab a blanket. There it was, a shoebox labeled "Our Wedding." Inside, Polaroids, a dried flower bouquet, receipts from their honeymoon, a printed guest list. I hadn't even seen my own name on a mortgage statement. Athena walked by, saw me holding the box, didn't panic, didn't flinch, just said, "You should probably ask Ethan before going through our things." Not his, ours. Ever felt like someone else's history was swallowing your present? Like you're borrowing space in a life already lived? Drop a heart if you've ever kept quiet just to stay included in your own relationship. There's a difference between being quiet and being erased. One feels like peace, the other feels like drowning in daylight. The day I truly disappeared wasn't loud. No yelling, no slamming doors, not even a raised voice, just dinner. Just the four of us at the table in my kitchen. I had spent 2 hours cooking. Roasted vegetables, garlic chicken, a salad I knew Leon liked because he once told me it was the only thing here that doesn't taste weird. I set the table. I lit the damn candles. I even folded the napkins the way Ethan liked. Half triangle, napkin ring in the middle. They sat down without a word. Athena poured the wine. She used the stemless glasses I bought last fall. The ones Ethan said were too fancy for just us, but apparently perfect for her. No one waited for me to sit. I stood for a second, unsure where to go. The chair I usually used had Leon's backpack hanging on the back. Athena was already cutting into the chicken, complimenting the seasoning like she was talking to a waiter. And Ethan, he didn't even look up. So I walked over to the silverware drawer, opened it slowly, slid the carving knife back into its place. It made this small metallic sound, a little clink, that's all. Nothing dramatic. But no one heard it. And in that moment, I realized I was completely invisible in my own home. Later that night, I tried to talk to Ethan. He was on the couch, watching something dumb. I sat on the edge of the cushion, my hands tucked between my knees. "Do you even see me anymore?" I asked. He laughed, said, "Babe, don't start. You're just tired." Tired. That word hit harder than anything. Because I was tired, but not in the way he meant. I wasn't tired from work. I was tired of pretending this house was mine. Tired of seeing Athena's keys on the hook I drilled into the wall. Tired of folding laundry that didn't belong to anyone who respected me. Tired of Ethan looking at me like I was the storm ruining his perfect little illusion of family peace. So I asked the question that had been clawing at the inside of my mouth for weeks. "Are you still legally married to her?" His body stiffened just slightly. Like a blink you miss unless you're watching closely. He didn't say no. He just sighed. It's complicated. Complicated. Another word people use when they're too cowardly to tell the truth. "It's just paperwork," he added, like that would fix anything. "We haven't been together in that way for a long time." I wanted to scream. What way? What does that even mean? But I didn't. Because deep down, I already knew. The next morning, I opened the drawer where we keep all the house stuff. Mail, pens, batteries. I was looking for the gas bill. Instead, I found the deed. A copy of the property deed, tucked inside a yellow folder with the realtor's card still stapled to it. 2 names were on it: Ethan Hale, Athena Hale. My name wasn't there. Not even in pencil. Not even crossed out. I felt my throat close. Every penny I'd put into this place, every wire transfer, every receipt, every argument with contractors, I did that. I paid for this house. But legally, I didn't exist. I took a photo of the deed, just one, just in case. Then I closed the drawer slowly. That night, I slept on the couch. No one noticed. No one asked. And I realized something cruel. I was the ghost in their family portrait, cropped out of frame, but still haunting the room. You don't have to be screamed at to be abused. Sometimes, all it takes is being forgotten, left out, slowly erased until you question if you were ever there at all. Drop a heart if you've ever sat at a table and wondered who you were to the people around it. He told me I was being too emotional, so I handed him the deed with my hands shaking. Calm as hell. It was a Wednesday. I remember because it rained. Not a storm, not dramatic, just that slow, ugly drizzle that makes everything feel heavy. Athena had taken Leon to school. Ethan was working from home. And me, I had taken the day off, called in sick, which wasn't a lie. I was sick of pretending. The deed was still in my phone. I stared at the photo like it could rewrite itself if I looked long enough. But it never did. My name was still missing. Ethan Hale, Athena Hale. The house I built from sacrifice didn't legally belong to me. And the man who let me think it did was sitting in the other room, sipping coffee from a mug I bought, on a chair I assembled, in a house I funded. So I printed the photo, full color, letter size. I walked into his office, placed the page on his desk, and just stood there. He looked up slowly. "What's this?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. His eyes scanned the page, his shoulders tensed. Then came the sigh, deep, dramatic, like he was the one being betrayed. "I told you the paperwork was messy. You don't trust me." That word. Trust. It hit me like a slap, because trust is exactly what I gave him. Unquestioning, blind, reckless trust. "I trusted you so much, I didn't even ask to see the papers when we bought the house," I said. "I trusted you enough to give you every last cent I had, and you trusted me just enough to let me sleep next to your legal wife." He winced. "Sorrel, it's not like that." "No?" I cut him off, my voice shaking now. "Then explain it to me. Explain how she has keys. Her name's on the deed. Her kid has a room. And I'm just the woman who makes dinner and gets ignored." He stood up. "You're making this more than it is. Because it's easier than admitting what it really is," I snapped. "You never intended to make space for me. You just wanted someone to fill the cracks she left behind." His voice dropped, patronizing. "You're being irrational." I laughed. It wasn't cute. It wasn't kind. It was bitter and hollow. Irrational is investing in a life where I don't even exist on paper. Irrational is staying silent while you gaslight me into gratitude. That night, I didn't speak during dinner. Athena served pasta. Leon scrolled on his phone. Ethan acted like everything was normal. I was the ghost again. But this time, I wasn't haunting. I was watching. Watching how easy it was for them to function without me. And that's when I knew. I was never supposed to be a part of this family. I was just the help, the placeholder, the distraction. After they went to bed, I started packing. Not loud, not messy. Just the essentials. My passport, my laptop, a small box of jewelry from my mother, and the printed deed, folded neatly, tucked into a folder labeled proof. Then I wrote one sentence on the back of a grocery receipt and left it on the kitchen counter. "This house cost me everything. At least now I know its real price." You don't need to shout to reclaim your power. Sometimes walking away is the loudest thing you'll ever do. Drop a heart if you've ever been told you were too much just for wanting to matter. The first night alone, I kept checking for keys that weren't mine turning the lock. But all I heard was quiet. And for the first time in months, I wasn't afraid of it. I moved into a studio apartment that smelled like paint and disinfectant. The kind of place with yellow lighting and faucets that drip in rhythm like a broken metronome. The carpet was scratchy, the fridge hummed too loud, the window didn't quite shut right, but the door locked from the inside, and no one else had a key. I sat on the floor with my legs crossed, holding a microwave dinner on a paper plate, and watching dust float in a sunbeam like it was holy. I was exhausted, not from lifting boxes, there weren't many, but from months of lifting a man's ego, a family's silence, a house built on lies. I hadn't cried yet. I think I was scared that if I started, I wouldn't stop. That first week, no one called. Not Ethan, not Athena, not even a guilt text from Leon. The silence was confirmation. I had never been a part of their equation. I was a variable they were relieved to subtract. But on day 6, my phone lit up. Unknown number, no voicemail, no text. It rang twice a day after that. Always unknown, always silent. I never picked up. Because I didn't need to hear someone say, sorry, if what they really meant was, I miss the way you made life easier for me. I got a part-time gig at a co-working space downtown. They needed someone to manage member check-ins and refill coffee. It was beneath my resume, but it paid enough to cover rent and didn't require me to smile unless I wanted to. There was a woman there, Rochelle, maybe late 40s, pink hair and tired eyes. She brought me a muffin on my second day without asking if I liked muffins. You look like someone who hasn't had something warm in a while, she said. That muffin made me cry. In the bathroom, on the toilet with the lid down, choking on the kind of grief that comes out sideways. At night, I started writing again. Nothing big, just notes, sentences, bits of memory I wasn't ready to forget. Like, he used to touch the small of my back in public. That's the last part of me he respected. She never yelled. That was the scariest part. Gaslighting doesn't always sound like shouting. Sometimes it sounds like you're overthinking it. One night I wrote for 4 hours straight. When I looked up, it was 2 a.m. My hand was cramping. My tea had gone cold. But I had 20 pages of raw, ugly truth printed out on my kitchen counter. And something clicked. Maybe I couldn't reclaim the house, but I could reclaim the story. I emailed a friend I hadn't spoken to in years, Joey, a former editor at a small women's lit journal. I sent him a sample of what I wrote, thinking he'd never reply. He responded in 2 hours. This hit me in the chest. You ever think of turning this into a column? A week later, I had a digital column. Still here, I wrote anonymously. Just S. Each post was a vignette. Short, specific, messy, honest. The post that blew up was titled, "The House You Paid For But Can't Sleep In." Within days, it had 12,000 shares. Comments flooded in. Stories like mine, worse than mine. Some better, but all the same core theme. I trusted someone who built a life around my silence. Then came the email from Ethan. Subject line, "I saw your article. We need to talk." I didn't reply. Not right away. I read it 10 times, staring at his carefully measured words. "You're making me look like a monster. That's not how it happened. Please take it down." But not once did he say, "I'm sorry. You were right. That was your house too." So I responded with one line. Truth only hurts people who built something on lies. Sometimes healing isn't soft. Sometimes it looks like choosing your own voice, even when it shakes, even when it makes other people uncomfortable. Drop a heart if you've ever had to rebuild your life from silence. He wanted me to take the scraps and say thank you. Instead, I filed a legal claim and put my name where it should have been all along. The offer came in an email, like a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. "Let's make this right," Ethan wrote. Attached was a draft settlement, a post-dated agreement giving me a retroactive 35% ownership of the house. No admission of wrongdoing, just a line at the end. In exchange for signing, Sorrell agrees to make no further public statements on the matter. He didn't want to apologize. He wanted me to shut up. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the whole thing to one of the lawyers from Rochelle's list. I expected them to brush me off. I was under the table. Nothing was in my name. But she read every detail, asked for bank statements, photos, text logs. I sent her everything. "You've got a case?" she said. "What he did is called financial abuse, and we're going to name it." The mediation hearing was scheduled 3 weeks later. Ethan showed up in a suit, too expensive for a man who still needed joint accounts to feel powerful. He didn't look at me until the lawyer mentioned my name. And when he did, I swear, he looked confused. Like he hadn't expected me to show up. Like I was still supposed to be that soft-voiced woman with the folded napkins and thank you eyes. But I showed up with documentation. I showed up with dates. I showed up with my name, bold and clear on legal paper. We didn't settle that day because I didn't want a check. I wanted a record, a court-acknowledged ruling that said, "This woman was exploited. This woman contributed. This woman has legal value." 3 months later, I got it. The judge awarded me back pay reimbursement, legal acknowledgement of contribution, and a percentage of resale value if Ethan sold the house. He called it a fair remedy to a partnership built on unequal power. I didn't cry in court, but I cried in the Uber on the way home. Not because I missed him, but because it was the first time I had won something without being smaller than the person across the table. And here's the part I never thought I'd say. I took the money and used it as a down payment on my own home. A small modern one-bedroom in a part of town I'd never have picked before. It had exposed brick, a dishwasher that growled a little when it ran, and a balcony just wide enough for a chair and a basil plant. The best part, the deed said, "Owner, Sorel Vira, just me." Sometimes I still get calls from podcasts or panels asking me to tell the story, and I do, but I never end it with a whisper or a quote about growth. I say this: the best thing I ever did wasn't leaving him. It was showing up for me, legally, loudly, in writing. Because love is not a reason to erase yourself, and if they leave you out of the contract, the table, the room, you don't wait to be invited back in. You build a better table. You send them the invite. And then you don't care if they show up. Healing in America means understanding the system that hurt you and learning how to fight back with receipts, not revenge. Drop a heart if you've ever reclaimed your life in full, name, deed, and all. If this story resonated with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful stories, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters, and I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.